Hey folks, we're going to call this story The Widowmaker. Okay, can you see me? The Widowmaker. You see this tree? This tree fell in the wind a couple days ago. I worked on it yesterday for a few hours, and it's a white pine, and it fell in such a way that all the boughs hidden underneath the tree branches and the what's that word, canopy of the tree, all of the boughs had action. Okay, they had power. They were bent because when the tree came down, it fell down and it snapped off up there, you see, and when it hit the ground, then it went like this and settled like this. So every one of the branches had energy in it. If you can imagine a coiled snake, you know, you coil up a 2 or 3 inch branch with all that weight on it. I don't know how much weight that is, maybe half a ton. And then I want to show you that you can see right up there that all that weight is on one little 2-inch dry rotted branch. I'm going to go around here so you can see it, so you don't think I'm lying to you. This is quite a story. I'll tell you what, these weird things happen to me. I've cut a lot of trees in my life, but this one has death traps in it, almost every branch. I'll explain that in a second. But look, see for yourself. When I tell you a story, it's a true story. And that's why I'm documenting this. See that branch right there? All the weight of that tree is resting on this rotted branch. Dry rotted branch. Okay? Now look at, I have been incrementally cutting up these limbs. Each one of them, when I put my saw to it and began to cut, it acted in the opposite manner. And for example, you guys that cut wood know what I'm talking about. If I cut it at the top and it pinches the blade, right, that means there's pressure on the blade. Every one of these has demonstrated a great deal of pressure, and with every time I released, you know what happened, right? That tree would go down, just step down a little bit, and another crack, right? So when I tell you this tree is spring-loaded and it's a widowmaker, I'm not kidding around. Now look how dangerous the underbrush is here, and how many times I had to look down and make sure I wasn't stepping on one of those boughs that would have busted my ankle off or torn my leg off and then sent the tree down on me. See? So, yeah, I'm telling you a story, and it's a doozy, but this is the kind of story that I can tell with my life. I mean, this story here, the Widowmaker white pine, is exactly like what's happening in the United States. If we go in and try to cut up the old without any respect and just start slashing and hacking, that old system can destroy us in a heartbeat. The better picture is regeneration, where you picture crop development, tree farm development. Everything we do in life must incorporate a life cycle. So you guys might get real tired of me preaching and talking to you and trying to teach you, but until Americans pull their heads out of their butts and realize that they have been feeding off of a system and nurturing themselves off of a system that took years and years, 200 years to develop, lots of hard work, lots of ethical decisions were made, lots of life and death decisions were made, and you compound all the wisdom over time that our fathers, grandfathers, mothers, grandmothers, and all the way down the line have to invest to get what we have today. And then you have jackasses on their cell phones who can push a button and make $1 million off of a corrupted financial system. Okay, now you know why I want to start a stock system. Okay, now you know why I want to rebuild the banking system. Ethical project development, incremental reintroduction of correct and ethical systems, which we have all documented in our academic libraries and at our greatest institutions. We need to reinstate those, okay? It has to start with each person. First of all, we have to be brave and free. We got to quit this, oh, I will never be able to do anything. Look how bad everything is. That's what the kleptocrats that script, okay, the news. I've mentioned them 100 times. Arcanumglobal.com is a perfect example. They are hired by oligarchs and criminals to script the news so that it divides using what have historically been very genuine storylines like civil rights, okay? But they'll hire a crew of criminals to go in and start a riot or murder somebody or do a school shooting or get in someone's head. This is psychological operations, all right? It's an old military tactic. It's not new. And this is not conspiracy theory, it's history. So this stuff is being used on the United States. So let's get back to the tree. My point with the tree is very simple. We have got to act in a manner of stewardship as we dismantle the damaged pieces of our system. Let's say that the wind and the damage was caused by kleptocracy. Going in and cleaning up this mess, there's a lot of powerful branches, right, that can cause more damage. So if we cut them without thinking, right, they will break our legs. They will take our feet out from underneath of us. So this is, do you remember the scene from Predator? Do you remember the scene from Predator where the Predator, Schwarzenegger, is trying to draw him into the trap? Well, it's very similar. Even these kleptocrats can even set a trap like this using destruction and say, well, come on in and fix it. Just start chopping and cutting, knowing full well that they'll rip the hell out of the people and take even more down with them. So you have got to use your heads. That's what I'm going to tell you. And I want you to take a last scene of the Widowmaker and Dave's story. But I put a lot of time and thought in. I had to step back and look at this several times before I even made one cut. And that's exactly what we got to do as a people.